So as the savior of the NFL once said, did we all need to calm down? We're going to talk about everything Xbox and what they just announced in their podcast in this episode, coming right up. All right, welcome to the Gaming Insight Podcast with me, Steve Saylor. This is episode 1. This is the first one, and we're going on the big one. We're talking about the latest news that are happening in the week. If you wanted to be able to know more about the show, basically, it's a weekly show every Friday. We're talking about the biggest news in gaming or potentially accessibility news in gaming of the week, and I'm going to always have a guest on to be able to discuss it for about 30-ish minutes. If you want to be able to get a bonus daily episode where I go into even the daily the news of the day for gaming or accessibility and just updates about my life, you go to patreon.com/Steve Saylor and you can be able to sign up there and become a paid member, and you get a bonus show called Morning Coffee with Steve, and you get to enjoy that. I'll have a better scripted intro for this. This is literally my first one, so just give me a little bit of leeway here. But the person I want to be able to introduce as our guest for this week is someone that I've been wanting to be able to do a project on for a long time. We finally got to be able to do it on this show, my very first guest ever. We have MCFIXER here. How you doing, bud?
Yo, I've made it. Mom, get the camera. I made it. I'm doing well. With you. No, honestly, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on episode 1. Honestly, it means the world to me. And yeah, trust me, there'll be a lot more crossovers between us two now. I finally got my office space. I can stay up past 10 o'clock at night, so I can actually work with people across the world. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do this, man.
Nice. Yeah, we'll definitely have you on for the sure, because that's the whole thing of this podcast. It's gonna be a rotating chair, but there's always room to be able to have you come on a regular basis. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's discuss Xbox. We both just watched, and also on another podcast, both reacted to the Xbox podcast that came out this week. If you the quick rundown of the story is that for months now, there has been rumors of games going to Xbox games going potentially multi-platform, potentially on PlayStation 5 or a Nintendo. There was rumors about Hi-Fi Rush, about Sea of Thieves, about Starfield, about Indiana Jones, and even one crazy one about Gears of War potentially going multi-platform. So it's been brewing up for months. There was a lot of extremely toxic fandom that was happening, and Xbox was like, you know what? We're going to do a podcast. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to discuss it. We both saw what was in there. But I want to be able to launch it off with you, Fix. What was your takeaway, and what are the things that you learned from this podcast episode that we got?
Where do we start? I learned that Xbox is not dead and it's not over. I think that's the big thing that I've been covering Xbox now for about nearly 9 years, doing a weekly Xbox podcast, right? And I feel like the settlement on the internet was this was make or break for the console. Very much like if exclusives were going away entirely, why would we not go and only play on Switch or PlayStation if the process of Xbox games being made were going to be published everywhere? Obviously now we know, confirmed, that everything is not going everywhere day one. The big news obviously coming out today is they've confirmed 4 games. Wouldn't say what the games were, which I have a whole opinion on that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that definitely. But yeah, 4 games confirmed that are going multi-platform. And yeah, my main takeaway is Xbox are moving in a different direction, a direction they've spoken about for years, but they are finally moving in that direction.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a great article, and I'll have this in the show notes, that was put up on Xbox Wire, written by Jeff Rubenstein, and you'll be able to go take a look and read the full thing, and we won't go over it, but there's kind of some key points that they basically said what this all means to be a part of Xbox. You get the biggest games in the world will be on Xbox. Our games will come to Game Pass day one. Robust and innovative multi-year hardware roadmap, which is something that was also unknown about until today. Compatibility with your library is a priority, inclusive of cross-play, cross-save, and robust cloud features. And Xbox will continue to help game creators find the biggest audience possible. As you said, it's not anything new. It's other than the fact that there's 4 games, which has already kind of been speculated about. Apparently, VGC and well, I can't ever pronounce it, Fatsuma or whatever.
Yeah.
They've already said apparently the 4 games are Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded.
Yes,
Grounded was the one that I was like, that was kind of a bit of a surprise to me.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
He mentioned that basically like there was 2 games that were going to be that were more community focused, and then 2 other games. So I knew Sea of Thieves was definitely the community focus. I was thinking more potentially maybe Flight Sim or something like that. But Grounded definitely was kind of like, oh, okay, that
Flight
now
Sim
that makes
on
sense.
the Switch. A Flight Sim on the Switch. I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. No,
maybe not on a Switch, but a PS5 maybe. I don't know, but
if you look at the games that I know Xbox decided to not confirm it, but we pretty much have we have an answer out there in the world that they have been confirmed for various reasons, probably partnership deals and things like that, right? That's why they probably didn't get announced. For me, it feels like they are making the right decisions for long-term growth for the Xbox brand. Again, a game like Grounded that has gone through early access with Xbox players, has come out, it's had its 1.0 and updates and beyond. I don't think Xbox players really gravitated to it and really got hold of it the way some of us expected it to. When the concept of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was put out there to us, we were all super excited. I know I was. Yeah. And then the game came out in its early access phase. It weren't really for me. And then by the time it comes out in 1.0, the hype's kind of died down from it from there. So I do think Grounded is a good game to go to multi-platform. I do think Sea of Thieves as well. That's a game that's been out for 6, 7, 8 years now. Long time. So I can see why they've chosen these games to go over. And it makes sense. It's just a different way of doing things, but it's also the exact same way Xbox have been doing things for years now, to be honest with you. And I think the hardcore Xbox gamer inside me, in quotes, there's a part of me that's like, oh, we're losing something. But I guess I'm kind of the old man looking in the sky, shaking his hand at this point, you know? Because I'm just not used to... I'm not used to change. I'm not used to the way the industry works. And I think that's something we learn a lot of in this podcast, to be honest with you. The industry has changed. It is no longer put exclusives out on the console, everyone buys the console. That isn't the world we live in anymore.
I think even adding to that, the extra sort of bit of context from this week was also the Sony executive who came out and said that they were considering multi-platform. He was very specific in saying multi-platform in terms of PC. It's been a strategy that PlayStation has been having for a while, and even ramping up their sort of release schedules with it, putting games more closer to potentially day and date with their console releases. But that is something that I think this kind of podcast kind of confirmed the potential of where I could see Xbox going for. They basically said this all along. There's nothing that's really kind of like changed, except other than certain aspects of the industry has changed since their initial plans that they probably have created, and plans will change all the time. That's the thing with all these, even these rumors, is that potentially they could have thought about Starfield or Indiana Jones, which is something they did bring up that there may have been talks about it coming to multiple consoles, but that plans could have changed at any given point. But the thing that I sort of see at Xbox, and I want to know what your thoughts of as far as what you see the future of Xbox to be. I see it as Game Pass is their platform. They put so much resource in, like, that is their baby. That is what they want to do. So any game that makes sense to be able to have like day and date on Game Pass, that's going to put it. And then the hardware side is that you're going to get the best experience of Game Pass on Xbox hardware. It's not a priority for them. Game Pass is. But in the off chance that basically there are games that they create that would make sense to be able to have like an ROI to potentially have it sold on other platforms, then I think they can be able to do that. I mean, they mentioned, Sarah Bond mentioned Power World in the podcast as a great example, because I think the last sort of numbers were, it was like 17 million units were essentially sold, 10 on Steam, 7 on Game Pass, which is a great success. And that is proof that if you basically have it, available for players on Game Pass or subscribe to Game Pass, but then if you sell it for like 70, whatever the market value price is on PS5, on Nintendo Switch, or on Steam, it can still work better for the studio and the creator of the game, and then it also benefits Xbox because they also get a piece of that pie too.
Absolutely.
So what that's kind of how I sort of see where Xbox is kind of going with, even after this podcast. What do you see the future of Xbox being?
Xbox is an ecosystem now. I tweeted about it. I don't think if you are a gamer and you are picking one video game console, again, where I speak from my own privilege, right? I've got a PC, I've got a Switch, I've got a PlayStation, I've got an Xbox. I'm very, very lucky. Not everyone's as lucky as me, right? Mm-hmm. And I see it as, if you are picking one console, Xbox is no longer the one console to buy, in my opinion, anymore. Right. Because they don't even look at themselves as the box anymore. They are no longer Xbox being that console under your TV, fighting for that TV unit anymore. They are fighting for something much bigger, which is your iPad, your iPhone, your smart TV, these handheld devices like the Steam Deck, the ROG, things like that. They are an ecosystem. They are no longer a device. They're not defined by being a device. And again, it's something that they've been trying to do for many, many, many years, and it just feels like they're finally in a position where they're like, okay, Game Pass is in a position where we can put all of our chips on the table and bet behind this, and with that we can keep doing the consoles, we can keep feeding those audiences, but that's not our main focus anymore. Our main focus isn't the box underneath your TV. The main focus is Xbox as an ecosystem, and we spoke about this on my podcast. Like I said, I do think Xbox either need to partner with somebody now for a handheld, or they need to make their own handheld, because as much as I love cloud as a concept is amazing. I went and bought a Samsung TV for my bedroom just for the Xbox Game Pass Cloud. It doesn't work in my house. At this moment in time, it doesn't work. I tried to play Resident Evil 2 off it the other day, literally got to the start of the game, shut down. Tried again, got to the start of the game, shut down. It's just not there yet. It will be, and I think that's the play Xbox are making right now. This isn't a play for the next 3 years, the next 5 years. I think this is a play for the next 10 years, next 20 years. And ultimately, if you look at Xbox's exclusive games, they haven't had anything that has really blown people away for a really long time. Like, sure. I've been playing every exclusive that comes out on the consoles since the Xbox 360. Like, we've not had that big moment yet for Xbox, like PlayStation have had with Horizon or Last of Us, and the list goes on, Spider-Man, etc., etc. I feel like Microsoft, I should say. Microsoft want them to have their version of, and not the game itself, but they're waiting for Microsoft to have their Fortnite, their Roblox. They mentioned these games on purpose. Like, they want a game that is going to be huge, and that's why it's so important to be on Switch, to be on PlayStation, to be on Xbox, and to be everywhere else. Because they need to be able to be in every single home and be on PC as well. Like, kids today, Steve, they don't ask for consoles, they ask for PCs.
Yes, true. I mean, we saw that just the viral video of Christmas. People were looking for a PC, not a console. But here's the thing, though. You had mentioned that Xbox is an ecosystem. And this is a very leading question, but I'm going to ask it. Like, isn't that not too far of a jump to potentially being Xbox third party?
I mean, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think today, I was very vocal and quite disappointed in the podcast itself. I didn't love the messaging. I didn't think it was clear as it needed to be. I felt like there was a few contradictory statements made. Phil Spencer saying one thing, and then you got Sarah Bond saying the other. Phil saying how Xbox is stagnating and they need to make changes to grow the business and etc. Then you have Sarah Bond coming out saying, oh, we've grown in this end, we've grown this, we've grown this, we've grown this. I'm like, wait, hold up, slow down, wait. Is it this or is it this? Because you're making these changes because you have, quote, stagnated. But I know, because again, I read it the other day, which is your profits are up, margins are up, this is up, that's up, money's up, but it's not up enough for Daddy Microsoft. It's doing fine for Xbox, but for Microsoft, when you have Office and Windows and all these things, they're going, wait, guys, we're doing something wrong here. And that's where I think the big changes come. I think this is a huge play with Microsoft. They're like, okay, we didn't buy Activision Blizzard to not make money off it. We didn't buy Bethesda to not make money off it. Yeah, okay, here's your Psychonauts, here's Double Fine, here's your Psychonauts 2, and here's these other studios that are amazing studios in our industry, but they're not, maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but they're probably not making the next big game. Maybe I'm wrong.
They're not pushing the needle, essentially.
No, exactly. But yeah, I think today was a softening of the blow in terms of like, hey, be prepared, you're going to see more games go multi-platform. I don't think you're going to see them go multi-platform as soon as they launch, but I'm trying to think of a multiplayer game Microsoft are putting out. They haven't got much right now. A
multi-platform game? I mean,
no, a multiplayer game. Sorry,
a multiplayer
I'm saying,
game.
Yeah, because that's kind of where I think this lies. It's when CFE, let's say CFE's 2, we'll use that as the example here, right? CFE's 2 comes out, and it does really well for 2 years, or maybe a year, then it starts to die off. That's when you're going to see it hit Switch and PlayStation. And I think that is Xbox's new plan. It's not a crazy plan, right? It's like when a game starts to go this way, go downwards, we better transition. And I think you can feel a couple of different ways about this, right? Like as an Xbox player, I get tweets all the time about, oh, you're a beta tester for PlayStation, and all this stuff. Like, you can see it like that. I see it as, I buy each of these consoles because I want these unique experiences, and I want them now. I don't want to wait a year for them. I want them the day they come out and they're available. And again, I'm in a privileged position where I'm able to do that. If you're okay with that as an Xbox player, absolutely, you're amazing. You're good. You're fine. If you're not okay with that, you better get over it, because that's where we're going with this. This is where the industry's going, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think there's essentially, from my perspective, I think there's like two-fold type of strategies that they're creating. One for the creators, which is they very much like is the developers, the studios, and then there's the consumer. I think the consumer side, there will always be essentially, in a smaller sense now, but essentially will be the console sellers. Like it will be the things that you, like a mom or a dad wants to be able to go in their kid, be able to get an Xbox for their kid, and they see the Xbox Series S on the shelf and Starfield. That's the thing. Oh, you can play Starfield on Xbox. That's what you go, and you get the Game Pass, and then you eventually find, oh, there's other games I want to be able to play that are on Game Pass that are not necessarily specifically Xbox, but there's other games that are available from other studios that are coming. I think that's the strategy that they're kind of going for. And then there's the games, like you said, like the Hi-Fi Rushes or the Sea of Thieves that essentially could, have a better revenue stream on a different console, but then also allow new players to be able to jump in that could potentially, maybe if it gets popular enough on another console, if you could see like a Hi-Fi Rush 2, because like now you got a new players that like love the game. Now let's invest in that. Like we got the money now, let's invest in a Hi-Fi Rush 2. And then I think there's also the creator side, is that they are creating multiple different strategies for them to be able to get their game out to a studio's game out to as many players as possible. You can put it on Game Pass, but also simultaneously launch it on PC. You can put it on Game Pass and then Steam. You can put it on Game Pass and then also on PlayStation or on Nintendo Switch. They give them all these multiple different options to a creator that takes the pressure off of the financial of, you launch on a console and hopefully it does well, because if it doesn't, then there's nowhere else for you to be able to go unless you decide to invest in the multi-platform a little bit later on. And that's a much bigger financial risk for even a smaller studio, not necessarily even the AAA or the quadruple A that people have been kind of
quadruple A, Steve. What's that? I've never heard of it before in my life.
But I think Xbox is the only like platform and ecosystem that's able to do that. Whereas like you look at like a PlayStation or Nintendo, you're pretty much, if you launch on that platform, you're exclusive to that platform. You better hope that it does well, because otherwise you're locked in and you can't go anywhere else. You can't make any more money unless you're on this console. And it works for PlayStation. They've obviously been able to do it, and it works for Nintendo. They've obviously been able to do it. Xbox has never been able to do that. No,
and I think that's you've hit the nail on the head there, right? That's the big difference. Is PlayStation are able to do that because they have sales. Nintendo are able to do that because they have sales. I've been talking about Xbox players supporting exclusives since Sunset Overdrive came out, and that did poorly. And I was like, guys, what are we doing? Like, we've been screaming out for exclusives. We finally get an exclusive, like, from Insomniac as well, and yet we still don't want to support it. Okay, it was on the Xbox One, which, you know, very limited amount of players back then, especially at that time when that game released.
Sure.
So understandable, but yeah, it's if Xbox could have kept things traditional, if they could have, and maintained a winning formula, they would have. They can't, so they've had to adapt, and it's adapt or die, right? That's literally how it is, and I think that's where Xbox are at. I think maybe people like myself got wrapped up in the Bethesda's coming to town and Activision's coming to town, and now we're going to take on, and not, I have no stock in Xbox, why the hell do I care? But we're going to take on PlayStation, and this is going to be exclusive, and we're finally going to see a good battle. And it's like, they are no longer battling against each other. They are and they said this as well. I remember when Phil spoke about it, like, our biggest competition isn't Sony. Our biggest competition isn't Nintendo. Our competition is Netflix and this subscribers. It's this TV show and that and this and that. It's screen time. That is what they're battling for now. And ultimately, how do you get more people watching their streams or playing your games? Is by being on every damn screen. We've seen all the rumors that come out this week of Sarah Bond saying, like, Xbox is what is Xbox? Xbox is
every screen.
It's every screen, you know. And as much as it is, you know, I kind of cringe hearing that personally. But I think I cringe because I come from a traditional go to the shop, buy your console, put it onto your TV, and let's get gaming, you know? That isn't the world we live in anymore. My brother, who just turned 8, he didn't own a console, he had an iPad. And he's playing Fortnite, and he's and I'm like, you're playing on that? And he's like, yeah, what else would I play on? I'm like, my dad owns like a game shop. I'm like, Dad, get him a console. He's like, he don't want it. Like, he wants a PC, and he's got his iPad. He doesn't want a Switch. He doesn't want a PlayStation. He doesn't want an Xbox. And I think that's just a drastic difference in time now. Like, I grew up clamoring for my Mega Drive, and then it was my Game Boy, then my Mega Drive, then my PS1, PS2, 360, right? That's not, people are not like that. And these kids, and that's who they're going for, these kids are not like that anymore. They are, I've got this screen in front of me. I should be able to get everything I want in front of you. I can watch any show I want on it. I can watch any streaming platforms. Why can't I play any game I want?
Yeah, and you mentioned about the hardware, so that is something that Xbox is saying that they are still committed to, including they said that there will be a newer console hardware and controllers coming up at this holiday. I sort of see it as potentially like it'll be like whatever the equivalent of the Xbox One S and X when that was launched. This kind of seems like the right amount of time within the given sort of traditional console cycle. But I wanted to ask you, this is something that came up in the podcast I do, a gaming podcast. It's literally just called a gaming podcast. Go search for it if you want to take a look. But the question that they asked on there, and it was something that made me think, if after today, after the what they talked about today, would you recommend people buy an Xbox console?
No.
No?
No, I can't. I literally can't. I would. I think it would be disingenuous of me. This is what I'm saying. And if you're at this moment in time, I think buying a Series S is a great investment. It's quite a cheap price point. It can play everything that the Series X can play, and you are getting a bunch of fantastic experiences on there. So I can suggest that. But beyond this generation, no. I'm always going to say, and again, I understand PC gaming can be scary to some people, and some people just don't want to do it, and I do get that. I totally understand. But like, if you're asking me to suggest something, like, no, there's no way. I would say go get a PlayStation and get yourself a gaming laptop, a cheaper version of a gaming laptop, or something that can run everything, but just not crazy. It hasn't got to be a 4090 Ti super duper turbo grand slam,
sure.
You know. But I would say get yourself some sort of system, like some sort of gaming laptop, or if you're into a PC, get yourself a PC, because you know the experiences are going to be there. Yeah. And it can do more than just, what a console can traditionally do.
Yeah, and it was something actually I had to think about too, because right now as you, I have all the consoles, I have a PC, I even have a ton of handhelds even right now, but Xbox for me has been my my third party machine. It's like everything I play on, like from Ubisoft or from EA or any other, like basically that's my default console, and then everything else is just whatever exclusives are available on that platform. But I will agree with you in a sense. Like, I probably would not necessarily recommend an Xbox console. I mean, I've been I have my original Xbox back there for 20 years. So I'm also an Xbox MVP, Xbox ambassador. So I'm not saying this as like I feel like I've been betrayed by Xbox, but I will sort of slightly pivot on that, in that if Xbox was still be able to put out something like an Xbox Series S, I think then yes, I think it, like, if you're able to put it at that price point, and it also including Game Pass for a year, 6 months, whatever it is, to let people to be able to at least, okay, you want the Xbox experience, get the Series S, play it. It'll have the hardware that's able to play for multiple like new releases, plus also play a whole bunch of games that are on Game Pass. Go have fun. I think that I would still recommend, because there is nothing like that on PS5. There's nothing like that for right now for Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo has kind of always been the more family-friendly kind of console, but like, even as you said, like, get a cheaper gaming laptop, but even a decent gaming laptop, you're still looking at more money than you would spend on a console, especially even a Series S. So
absolutely.
I think I probably would say, maybe not the high-end console, unless you're in it and you love Xbox, and you want to get it and you want to invest in it. But if there's a Series S, I would 100% recommend that. Yeah,
I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? It all comes down to budget. It all comes down to affordability and things like that. Like, sure, if you are someone that is if someone comes up to me today and says, "Yo, I've got £300, what console should I get?" The first question I'm asking is, what experiences are you into? You know, like, if you're into action third-person games, go and get yourself a PlayStation. It's going to cost you a little bit more than £300, so you better keep saving, kid. But there's enough there. And if you say to me, "Oh, I really love racing games," I'm like, "Well, Forza's here," and then you get Game Pass and That's the good thing about these consoles, right? They're both very similar in many ways, but very different because of the sheer ecosystem in which they've been built inside of. Like, I think PlayStation, Sam, what they've said this week opens this conversation up so much more than what it did a week prior.
Right. Yes. That is something that I think that definitely should also be noted, is that if it was just Xbox, if that was the conversation and this was just that, then I think that the blow would be a little bit much more harder for gamers to be able to take. But the fact that PlayStation is also talking about it, I think it just opens up that, hey, there's this kind of slow sort of thing that's happening, that we're starting to kind of see the industry change, and it's not the same as cycle as we're used to. So I think that, because also as well, I mean, you think about, we're both, like we said, we were both in privileged positions that we have all the consoles. But for those who are just buying one console or can only afford one console, it is harder to be able to kind of get into that and be able to afford it, and obviously be able to play all the games that are on it, because the people can maybe only afford like one console and maybe one game a year. And that's a lot harder to be able to ask someone. But for something like a Game Pass, a subscription model, which people are already used to, having a Series S, which is a little bit of a cheaper console than everything else other than a Switch, then that's something that's a little bit more easier to get into. I think as you said, I think we're getting into the Xbox ecosystem, and that's where we're going to see gaming moving forward. Whether or not Xbox will succeed in that, we still don't know, but they've been building this up for the past 6-7 years. Their message hasn't really changed that much, but I think that it's essentially, I think there's still a future there, but we're in that kind of like sort of shaky ground of like, okay, where is that future heading?
Success is no longer determined by how many units you sell of a console.
You nailed it right on the head.
And I think that's the thing. You see the articles come out, PlayStation sold 2-1. Okay, cool, but PlayStation are also now the company thinking about putting their software on PC day and date. So there's clearly something we're missing here. You know, obviously we know consoles are sold at a loss most of the time anyway, until the second iteration, slims and things like that. So yeah, it's just one of those things. The game has changed. It is no longer a unit sold system. It is a subscription-based system for Xbox, and it is an ecosystem for Xbox and for PlayStation. They're still figuring it out. They know they don't want to scare their loyal fan base off. They know that, and Xbox have probably learned from that with this. I still don't think the messaging was 100% clear with this podcast for me, but it was a step in a right direction, even though it might have been a little bit messy.
I 100% agree with you. I think that the message was a little, it was a little bit more PR speak than more conversational, which was what I was kind of hoping for. But yeah. I think you're right. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. Whether or not it is the right direction, time will tell. But I think that we now have a little bit more of a roadmap that at least we know that Xbox is going on, instead of just a rumor mill that's spun out of control.
Nothing worse than the rumor mill going around and us all reacting on Twitter. The only thing I will say is let people react how they want to react. Personally, I get people saying, "Oh, look at everyone." It's like, hey, it's my life. Let me react to the thing that I love. I'm a Tottenham supporter, so that's football over in England, right? I react the worst when Tottenham lose. That's how much I love them. Like, let me react how I want to react to the thing that I care about. That's the one thing I don't like, is the policing right now in our industry of like, oh, look at you look stupid now. It's like, yeah, okay, I look stupid for the thing I care about so much. You always critique the thing you love the most, the hardest. And I think that's what a lot of people have done with Xbox right now.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I know that we didn't get into everything in the conversation. We didn't talk about physical media in regards to digital streaming. We didn't even get into the messiness of messaging and for the reactive versus proactive. But you know what? If you have any comments about that, please feel free to let us know in the YouTube comments or on social medias, or even on Spotify has the ability to be able to leave questions and voice messages, so you can be able to do that with this podcast as well. But before I let you go, yeah, actually, I found that.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, you can ask poll questions. You can ask Q&As on Spotify.
Oh.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very cool. I'm learning all this new things about podcasting. Okay. Anyway, Fix, where can people be able to find you and all the amazing stuff that you do online?
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at MCFIXER. You might see me pop up on the Ubisoft stream here or there, because I stream for Ubisoft over on their official channel. And if you're an Xbox fan, which you probably are if you're listening to this, My Xbox and Me podcast, that's our weekly Xbox podcast. Been going on literally 8 years now, 450 weeks, never missed a week. So
is it officially the longest running Xbox podcast?
No, it can't be. What I will say is probably the longest in the UK, I would have said. Okay. Maybe someone would have to fact check me. We've never missed a week. That's all I can say. That's the one thing.
That's a great thing in and of itself.
Yeah, we don't take breaks over Christmas. We don't take breaks at all. We've never ever missed a week. I've recorded episodes in hospital. I've recorded episodes. Honestly, I have made the
too, yes.
Yeah, when my appendix almost went kaboom. So yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm happy to keep being on it. So thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you so much. And for those listening, make sure to be able to leave a like and review on this podcast. Appreciate it. Share this podcast with your friends. We can really get more people on this. And also, if you want to be able to check out the daily show that I do called Morning Coffee with Steve, make sure to go to patreon.com/Steve Saylor, become a paid member there, and you can be able to get bonus contents, including actually getting this podcast early than everyone else. So you can be able to, yeah. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all next Friday. Bye.